Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing on this fine Saturday morning? Today I want to talk about something a little strange. I do a lot of research, you guys know that. Any of you that's been watching. And I try to find, oddball stuff or interesting stuff for me to get into. I was reading on Tahoe Lake. Now, I know a lot about Tahoe Lake already. Personally, I won't go in the water. It's disrespectful. There are bodies down there. And that's just the way I was raised. You don't disrespect graves. While I was reading into this, I heard a couple of rumors. One of them was about how Jacques Cousteau, back in the 70s or 80s, may have made a dive in Tahoe Lake. Well, there are such things as dive records. And people like Jacques Cousteau, if he would have found anything, whether it be horrific or fantastic, he would have capitalized on it for money. So, one thing led to another, and we're going to make this a short. And I started researching Tahoe Lake. Now, mind you, not only do you have to pay attention to what you're reading, you got to pay attention to who publishes it. One of the articles that I read was about divers and how many of them have seen bodies on their dives. This particular publication said that few divers seen bodies, not found, seen. And you check with the like that one was, I think it was a Tahoe Blue publication. I looked into it, and that story is the same on all their little snippets and stuff. So I started looking around, found some more stories. This all started with the Jacques Cousteau thing. He never dived Tahoe, not once. So as I was saying before the camera cut off, Jacques Cousteau's grandson came up to Tahoe Lake in the 80s. And what he was doing, he was doing a charity drive to raise money for something. People talk to him and they've asked him, have you seen any of your father's footage? Has he talked about it? And no, there is no footage. There's no record. Yeah, Jacques Cousteau was in Tahoe. He never dived it. As I said earlier, if he did, he would have monetized the shit out of it. But from reading all these other stories, I got a good feel of it. And the science being there, with the body preservation at depths like that, the different thermoclines, the different water tables, the densities, it is more than possible. And for that lake being populated, I mean, the Washoe people were there 1,000 years ago or more. I think it was like 12,000 years ago. But the Washoe people, who actually turned into being Paiute and Ute tribes, have lived around Tahoe forever. So not everybody's a great swimmer. In all that time, especially with the mafia out there, and we all know the mafia, and there are actual records of people being dumped in that lake from the mafia. But Tahoe is a very rich area. I love it. I love digging into stuff. I mean, the Rat Pack, Sammy Davis Jr., Dean Martin, Marilyn Monroe, Kennedy, big time mafia people. And there's some creepy shit up there that we'll get to too. But yeah, the table dance. Hundreds of bodies on a certain layer below 1,000 feet down there. Just been collecting for years. Can you imagine? Over 100 years worth of different clothing on bodies down there. I mean, shit, a few years ago they found a diver that was lost 17 years ago, still in his wetsuit, perfectly preserved. Just popped right back up. And then there's others talking about, how bodies go missing, and this is another thing. People need to get things right. People say bodies go missing in Pyramid Lake and end up in Tahoe. No, it's the other way around. And they actually solved this issue in the early 2000s with some dye. And it was a fluorescent dye that you hit with a light or whatever. But they put it in Tahoe, and they found it in Pyramid, and then they found a connecting channel underground that feeds to Pyramid Lake from Tahoe, not from Pyramid to Tahoe. Tahoe sits above Pyramid, way above Pyramid. So unless they're swimming up there, no. The bodies go from Tahoe to Pyramid Lake. But yeah, that's my short for the dancing table of Tahoe Lake. And we'll get into some more of that later. But as you guys know, I'm trying to get these physical on-site videos done, like the Mormon Station stagecoach robbery. I'm still trying to get down there. It's like an hour and 15 minutes for me. But work and everything, you know. But we will be getting that together. But I hope you found, you know, some of this information at least interesting. I do all the time, even as morbid as it gets sometimes. But yeah, we'll get more into this later on. You guys have a great weekend. Watch out for the pedos. Take care of the kids. Later.